In this video, we're going to be delving into the very important but often overlooked verb to be in Latin. Have you ever found yourself wondering, why is the verb to be so important? Well, it's one of the most frequently used verbs in Latin. It allows for easy sentences, like canis est in horto, but also helps to compound lots of information into lists. Erant viri feminaeque liberique. Now, the verb to be is extra important in Latin as it also attaches to other verbs to form them in different tenses and voices, and we'll get onto that later in the video. Laetus ero, I will be happy. To start with, let's look at the easiest version, the present tense. This is a tense that's happening now. Usually we would expect ost, mustis, unt as our present tense endings in Latin, added onto a clear single stem. However, the verb to be is slightly different. First person, I and we are different to the others, sum and sumus. The others, however, all actually do follow that pattern that we have seen. We've got sum, which doesn't follow ost, but we've got s, which ends with an s. We've got est, which ends with t, mus, tis, and nt. So really it's just sum that might be a bit unexpected. The other difference is obviously that different stem for I am and we are. Take some time to familiarise yourselves with these, as they are important. If you want to gain more confidence in your verb endings, go and download this free PDF from the link in the description below. It's got endings for every tense, voice and mood and is completely free. I really just want to help people gain confidence in verbs. So go and grab it if that's something that you want to work on. The imperfect tense of the verb to be is a continuous action in the past. It was translated as was or were, so I was, you were, he, she, it was. Now, this does not have the bam, bas, bat endings that we're used to for the imperfect tense. But again, the endings do generally follow the person endings we would expect. So we've got that M again rather than O, but st, mustis, unt makes sense. Now, some of you might recognise this as a pluperfect ending, and you're right. If it's added to the perfect stem of a verb, then it makes a pluperfect tense. However, on its own, it's the imperfect of the verb to be. Eram, eras, erat, eramus, eratis, erant. The perfect tense. This is a completed action in the past. You can translate it a couple of ways. I were, which sounds odd, but if you say I were happier then it shows the completed tense. It's no longer the case. To make it simpler, you can just say I have been. You can also get away with I was sometimes, but be careful using this in case you're asked for the tense. Now to form it. This is from the third principal part, sum esse fui futurus. You use fui, so this one just adds the endings of the perfect tense you would usually expect. Fui, fuisti, fuit, fuimus, fuistis, fuerunt. Nice and easy. Now the pluperfect tense. Remember, this is the extra past tense. It's translated as I had been. So if you go back to my note about the perfect tense, hopefully you can see that this one uses the imperfect tense of the verb to be, added to that same third principal part that I used for the perfect tense. So that fui, fuisti, fuit stem that we just saw, fu, plus the imperfect tense of the verb to be, eram, eras, erat, gives me fueram, fueras, fuerat, fueramus, fueratis, fuerant. And that is the pluperfect of the verb to be. The future tense of the verb to be is also very useful for other tenses of regular verbs. Ero, eris, erit, erimus, eritis, erint. This will be familiar if you've come across the future perfect tense in Latin. This makes those endings. However, this is just the simple future. On its own, it's just I will be, you will be, and so on. Finally, the future perfect tense. This is a completed action in the future. I will have been, you will have been. This is again formed with that perfect stem, fui, and the endings are the simple future tense of the verb to be. So instead of ero, eris, erit, this time I get fuero, fueris, fuerit, fuerimus, fueritis, fuerint. The last thing to mention in this rundown of the verb to be is the infinitive. It's used a lot in passive and subjunctive versions of verbs, so be really sure to understand how it works. So for my present active infinitive, esse, the second principal part, is what I use. It literally means to be. It's often used in sentences like indirect statements or after command words. For example, I order you to be silent. The perfect active infinitive is formed using the third principal part, so that fui, and then adding sse, which is actually taken from essay, but you just add those last 3 letters onto the end to get fuisse, which means to have been. Finally, the future active infinitive is formed using the 4th principal part, futurus, and then you add on esse again, to be about to be. Now, my students always get annoyed by this verb because they don't understand why it's so irregular. However, I always like to show them this. Here's the verb to be in Latin, French, Spanish, Italian, and English. It's irregular in all of these languages, especially English. English just throws all the rules out the window. At least the others sort of follow Latin. However, it is very irregular, and the reason for that is because it's used so often. It's changed over time with constant use. So don't panic. Try to find the themes that help remember it, and it is really, really important to know. But once you've got it down, it's super easy. So I really hope this video has helped you with the active forms. Don't forget to check out my other videos if you need help with any of the tenses we've looked at today, and subscribe to the channel to get updates about my new videos. Also, go and download that free PDF if you haven't already. It deals with regular verb endings for all Latin tenses, voices, and moods, so even if you don't need it all, you will find it very useful. It's completely free, just follow the link to get sent the PDF. I hope you've enjoyed this video, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Bam Bass Bat.